Right. Everything looks good, hopefully. Okay. Uh, got some bright lights to crack, right? So we'll open box, start, go over what's been happening the week mostly, talk about some other stuff, like the Gravebones Armory deck in comparison to, say, the release of the Max Armory deck, because does give us a decent bit of insight, and then we can also discuss the print ones a little bit, because there's a little bit of worry behind High Seas, right, and its pricing, as well as obviously its print run, because I know at least here, the Hunted A is sold out, and then in some circumstances where it isn't, the price point is kind of inflated, right? And yeah, it's an interesting thing to worry about because it's kind of getting to Monarch levels, right? Back when that was just first edition, and again, grossly over inflated. But anyway, forgive the mess. I am sorting cards. Put them away up there, hopefully. All right, but that should be enough room. Yeah, let's crack some bright lights because I definitely do want to check out Max and whatever wrench shenanigans we can get up to, and then Puffin as well as kind of piquing my interest, right? And depending on what exactly they do with cogs. All right. Other than that, what are we looking for? Yes, like Twin Drive. The expansion slot from Bright Light is still really good. Just have to see what we find, I suppose. Right. I'm not going to pull out rares or commons because I have plenty of them, so it should be nice and quick. We're basically just going to the back slots, right, and seeing what we find. I don't even need the foils. We'll blow through this, and then yeah, jump into news of the week. Nothing yet. Outpace though, there are a few cards I want to potentially read. Right, the no block with equipment. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if Max really needs it, right? Because you've got overpower with the wrench. It seems like you do want to just toolkit around wrench and trying to get construct off. Not a Phantasmia. Obviously not a fantastic expense slot pull, but foil nonetheless. Right? Nice way to start the Majestics. There are still a lot of hit misses. I did a box with my partner and we got 3 tick tick boom, tick tick clock, whatever it is, the really horrible. Mainly it's just horrible because they capped it. Imagine in Dynador of tick tick, whatever it is. Well, actually, I've got the spare copies right here because I have my bulk Majestics. Let's see, what's tick tick clock? There we go. Tick tick clock, right? If it wasn't destroy 2 items, if it was destroy as many items as you could possibly do, imagine the payoff it could be in Dynador, right? How threatening on board it could be to destroy all your nonsense items, your shields and whatnot, and do a sizable chunk of damage. Instead, it's a majestic, shittier boom grenade because it also does damage to yourself, right, when it blows up. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking in comparison. Maybe there's some unforeseen utilization. Nada. Where's the normal Majestics? Right? Also, I'm meant to be looking at the rare slot, as per our little, pull rate table that we discussed last time. Again, the declared pull rate of rares in Bright Lights is lower, indicating that they counted for the Majestics, but obviously the expense slot Majestics don't show up in the rare slot. I do think that was a typo, but also, a hint that when the expense slot was first introduced, it was separate to Majestics. Now it's been baked into Majestic pull rates, unfortunately. I think the average is 3.3, right? Majestics per box. But no, sorry, I said that completely wrong. I'm trying to go off memory. 3.3 packs per Majestic, yeah. Evo Engine Room. These are the weapon ones, so they are kind of potential. But then again, we got Puffer Jacket. Puffer Jacket is not a base piece, and its effect is just way too good not to run right in the Hyperdriver Max. So yeah, no good on the engine room. Although, was it? Your next weapon attack this turn costs 1 less to activate. That's kind of nice, but not worth giving up the puffer jacket. Well, it's not a good start to the box, I gotta say. 1 cold foil, 1 expansion slot, and nothing else. Fabricate? One day Evos will be fantastic, maybe. One day. Alright. Show me a twin dry. Oh. Singularity, normal version. Kind of nice, right? Still legendary. I'm gutted, right? Because we have such weird choices. So I don't know if it's because of the Japanese printing, right? So Dynasty, you have Nitro, the Rainbow Foil is both sides as well, right? And then we have Singularity and Levia, who both have their legendary base variants non-Rainbow Foil, which is always, it seems like such a shame, but it has to obviously be something to do with printing at the time, surely, right? Not actual, just we chose it because we chose it type of thing, right? But anyway, still, Singularity, legendary. I mean, as the legendary for the box, for the case, I guess it's kind of, but oh well. Still nice to have nonetheless. Intoxicating Shot. So that's 2 expansion slot cards. Nada. Other than that, we are still seemingly low on the Majestic. Nope, and nope. Nope. I did literally just state that currently it's 1 every 3.3 packs. So this is definitely short, it seems. For reference, I didn't have a cold foil in the first 2 boxes that I opened with my partner either. So it's been 1 cold foil in the case. At least there was a legendary. But yeah, Majestic wise, has not been salvaging it. Hopefully the second box will do a wee bit better. Alright, there's 4 packs left, and we've pulled now a cold foil, so that's something. And then 4 so far, right? And, you know, average is probably about 7 Majestics. So who knows? 3 of these could have a Majestic, right? 1 could have a double. Not this one. Oh, it is this one. System failure. Remove all steam counters from target equipment, item, or weapons. If 2 or more steam counters remove display, deal 2 damage to its controller. See, again, missed potential, right? As a really punishing card to make it worthwhile. If it wasn't 2 or more, if 2 or more was removed from a item, equipment, blah, 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 right? So every time you remove 2 or more from a single thing, you do the damage. That would have been really nice. But still, against hyperdrivers, maybe it gets sideboarded in. Probably not. No Majestic. Right. Last 2 packs. We want at least 6, so 1 of these should still be Majestic. Yep. Breakers. Again, we have the mech version of Valiant Dynamos. Hitting the hyperdrivers is the consistency though, right? You only have 9. You do have ways to put them back. No, the only ways to put them back are the Evo headpieces, right? And recalls only once. So really, theoretically, you can only use the legs 9 times, and it's, you know, not consistent. So worthwhile? Maybe, because there is not the mark breakers. God, what is it? It's the same set as the cold foil we got, right? That gives your weapon thing. Oh, additional swing. There we go. My brain's just waking up. Forgive me. Pulse Wave Protocol. On stacks, they reveal X. X is the number of Evos you've equipped. Choose an action card with less than X. Adds a chain link as a defending card. So, yeah, no, not really. Great, right? But, again, there are tons of Evo cards that, if Evo ever gets really good support, we'll be super excited. To be honest, again, just if Evos were all modular and you could just continue to alternate between them, I think that would have been enough. And it still wouldn't be, in my opinion, broken or fantastic. It would just be okay to good, right? Oh well. Okay. that out of the way, let's jump into the discussion stuff, right? And then we'll come back and do the other box at the end of the stream. What one am I looking for? That one. Okay, so big thing first, right? The Singapore events, and we do have Valda along with a bunch of Guardian cards that do seem really nice, right? We'll try and squint and make them out. But Valda herself, this being the main way to get the adult similar to the bottleneck on Ira, is interesting, to say the least. But one thing to consider is Valda with Earthlore Bounty is going to be pretty nice into the High Seas heroes, right? At the very least. So, yeah, I would expect her still to be completely playable, right? Because she just, to me, seems like better Bravo. Because you get the discount from the Seismic Surge, you get the Dominate from the Seismic Surge, and you're basically going one turn to the other without having to pitch the ability in comparison. At least that's the way my brain breaks it down. But we have Draw a Crowd, so when this enters, each hero draws a card, and then something destroy this, right? So you do get some sort of effect for destroying it. Very curious. I feel like it'd just be Seismic Surge or something else, right? I doubt it's double draw, but still. 2 cost for both heroes to draw. It's okay. Promising Terrain, though, so that and Battle of the Pulp seem really, really nice last time I remember looking at them, right? So if you would create one or more... It's still Seismic Surge, right? Even though that, to me, looks like a B. Seismic Surge tokens instead create that many +1, and then at the beginning of your action phase, if you control 3 or more Seismic Surge tokens, draw a card and gain life, destroying this, of course, right? So, yeah, again, this into Velda's ability seems just really good, right? You get the bonus to create more Seismic Surge. It has go again, 0 cost, 3 block, right? And then, again, next phase, next turn, you get Velda's effect for Dominate, you get an extra card, and you get the life, right? So, yeah, Promising Terrain and Velda go hand in hand. And then Battle of the Pulp, if you would deal 4 or more damage, damage can't be prevented, and then Crush, so when this deals 4 or more damage, destroy an equipment they control with, I would assume, no defense value, right? I don't think that's how the negative counters are worded, right? It's equipment with a negative counter on it, right? Rather than defense value. So even if it's not 0, it's 1 or 2, right? That's still pretty insanity. Any variant of that comes to mind seems like insanity that we do like, right? Just completely demolishing your opponent's equipment. So, yeah. Valda is definitely going to be sought after, right? So, from ProQuest, Singapore, the first point of her, there's 4, right? Yeah, it's just 4. 4 in the pool, so, you know, they're going to be a few $100 there, and then they'll just drip out slowly, because we haven't had any announcements where else to get them. Same with the other stuff, right? Or am I misreading this? Featuring classic no, sorry, I am misreading this, right? So it's ProQuest. Beach ProQuest, but then again, because it's ProQuest, there's still not a huge amount of the events running, right? So, yeah. Interesting to see where she lands, and also where the other variants show up, right? A Cold Foil and a Marvel, most likely, right? That out of the way. Is there any other articles? I mean, we can touch on the recaps, right? So Metagame, Aurora, you know, doing numbers, thanks to her Armory deck, the cards. Although not completely dominant, it's more just, if anything, all aggro has just been funneled into Aurora. It just seems like aggro in general is just go to whichever hero is top aggro at the time, right? Because Syndra's dropped off, although I feel like Syndra should still be pretty decent in Blitz. Yeah, 3 Syndras. Then Living Legend, we also do see a decent chunk of Auroras for Living Legend, which is also an interesting thing. Anytime a non-Living Legend hero is, you know, able to compete, right? It's pretty interesting. And then we do have new Dash IO, right? It's Dash IO. Where? Should be... Oh, there we are. It's a little one, right? So Dash IO as well, but again, that's more to do with the obscene card pool and just being able to pistol, right? Alright, now, High Seas, there are some curiosities here, because I didn't really go through the cards when we went through the cards, so I feel like we should just open them all up. Now, the Golden Cog does have a flip side, so definition of Marvel is getting super loose, right? Again, it has the different symbol in comparison to the Goldfin Harpoon. So we assume that they are differentiated, right? The Goldfin Harpoon is a marvel for the sake of rarity to pull from the treasure packs. But the fact that we are getting double side in the treasure packs is definitely nice, but it does make it curious, right? Any of these shown to be in cold foil? The promo variant, not flip side, right? Just the see-through box. Yeah, so Golden Cog, cold foil from the treasure pack. Again, circular symbol, so most likely not a marvel. But again, there is no differentiating this from Goldfin Harpoon in any real semblance to me, right? So despite the difference of symbol, again, it's... Wait, no, look at that. That's even more confusing. I still think, personally, and this is potentially just me coping, because I want the symbol to be flip, right? And, you know, heroes, allies, all to have a other side, another mechanic, right? That could be cool. But Golden Cog has a flip side. Goldfin Harpoon does not. Curious. I mean, how would an arrow work if it had two sides, right? Because we have the ruling about one side being the active side, one side being the back side. But then what counts as a face-up arrow? I guess if both sides were arrows, just whichever is face-up in your arsenal is the face-up side. So if you were to load it, the back side would still be face-up. That would be way too confusing, I think, to be actuality. But again, this having the Marvel symbol versus Golden Cog not having the Marvel symbol but being the flip card is kind of doing my head in, right? So, yeah, maybe everything we discussed about that is wrong, and the triangle means something else entirely. But, yeah, curious, right? Because, again, they're both just treasure back, they're both cold foil. The gold token as well has a flip side, right? So I did notice that when I was going through the cards. That's the wrong one. Treasure pack, the rainbow fall, both sides. Interesting as well, again, with the choice of Levia versus Nitro versus Singularity, with the normal variant, again, being a flip card, but no special treatments, versus Nitro, who did have 3 variants, right? Rainbow Fall and 2 cold foils. So, yeah, that is definitely something to think about and consider, right? What exactly is a marvel, right? What defines a marvel? I suppose, again, going off of, you know, Dynasty, as well as Bright Lights, right? Marvels in those don't all have flip sides, so to me, it's the border treatment, right? It's a borderless, old border, however you want to refer to it, would be the treatment, but yeah, a little bit confusing. Hopefully means that there's something sneaky on the other side, right? Any of the other cards have anything of interest? So, I believe these... No, so like Chum as well, right? Marvel, but no flip side. So, potential. Potential to be something else. Potential to just be a border, since it's, you know, a card in your deck anyway. And then all these are normal as well. The heroes, again, have the flip side, but you buy it, right? Oh, them being borderless makes me think. And nothing else that we've missed. Yeah. Treasure Island is also the interesting thing to consider, right? How exactly is this put into play? What exactly is the condition to keep it around? Is there going to be any destruction interaction? Because, like Kosham, right, has its closing interaction. I think I'll be somewhere near me for a refresher. So I think it's just, if no one's done anything at Kosham, it leaves. Same with the Misfell one, Miscloaked Gully, right, and Library as well. So yeah, they all have stated conditions on the card. Same with the macro for Tales of Aria, but Treasure Island has nothing, which, I don't know. Again, my mind when it comes to high seas, pirates, and landmarks would be you travels to an island, and then that flips into the landmark after X amount of doing something, right? But yeah, because they're sticking around permanently, or even requiring your opponent to interact and destroy it is pretty big, because it's such a strong effect. And then again, eating a card from your opponent just seems also really nice. So yeah, Kosham is again the weird wording, well, the thematical wording. So at sunset each day depart Kosham if no hero is gained. One of the conditions, and the conditions, you know, reveal a card and it gets blah blah blah. I don't know if you can really see because of the camera. And then Library and that also, again, have stated conditions, whereas Apparently, Treasure Island does not, and Treasure Island seems like complete gas in all three gold. Well, in fact, in any gold wanting heroes. I'm hoping. See, this is the other curiosity, right? Because it's a high seas macro. So again, like the macro from Rosetta, the Sanctuary of Aria, right? Starts potentially. Maybe it's pirate ship, and you pick the high seas landmark you want. But I would also very much like to stick this in, obviously, Melody. That would be fantastic. That would be super fantastic, right? Being able to, profit a whole bunch of gold off the first final act and then allow you to try and continue drawing to find the second or something else that's a payoff, right? Would just really help with that consistency. So I have to see what high seas macros do. There's still a lot of secrets in high seas, even with everything revealed. So yeah, it's going to be a good season, right? As we get the drips and drabs, because it's more than cheap to me, right? So there's lots that we want to figure out and see. All right, I think that brings us to our max armory deck. Let me pull up the cards so we can go over them again. Where did I put them? Where they are. All right, I have to make it fit. Okay. So I should probably change the background as well then. We'll just make it max, I assume. Yeah, there we go. I'll do. All right. So the armory deck looks fantastic in any shape or form, right? Going to the extremes and thinking that Bankbreaker will have a variant of itself as well as the constructible variants, or just not. How hyperdrivers interact and everything like that. There is plenty for us to go off of here. It looks absolutely fantastic, and that makes me absolutely concerned about the gravy deck, right? Because again, if Gravy Bones gets this level of support, we have the High Seas release, which we know is, again, print run-wise going to be probably not enough, right? But one-off at the very least, because it includes the treasure packs, right? That would be my most likely rationale for why it's one and done. But again, it's been floated from lots of different sources, so it's one and done, right? Same with the Gravy decks, they're one and done as well. So if Gravy Bones gets the level of support similar to Max and these cards, and by what I mean is if the card shop in just the armory deck and not in high seas, that is worrisome because it will definitely create a huge bottleneck, right? And they might start out okay priced, but either the armory decks, the cards themselves will just jump and jump and jump, right? And it'll just be Assassin 2.0, depending. Well, actually, the Assassin cards were still expensive before Assassin was really good, right? Just when it was okay. So, yeah, I think thematically there's enough people who really want to play Necromancer. I mean, to tie it in, we have obviously the solo leveling anime, putting a nice juicy spin on Necromancer. So there's going to be some of that as well, right? And yeah, I'm just really worried about where the cards will land because I don't think they'll be hugely accessible, right? Okay. Jump into the max cards. So yeah, max to the moonshot. Buy copies. I think it's still. I don't know if it's gone up too much, right? We got an extra playset to see, but moonshot definitely does seem a lot more playable now. Same with Hyper Scrapper. Again, the main card Puffer Jacket is just the big enabler because that allowing you to play blue hyperdrivers is hugely significant. So a blue hyperdriver enters with 1 steam counter. So if you crank it, it's gone. If you use it on your turn, it's gone. If you wait till the next turn, it's, well, does it have the upkeep cost? No, it doesn't have the upkeep cost. It's just, no, it is. Yeah, no, I'm thinking it is the upkeep cost, yeah. So blue hyperdrivers were mentally unplayable. Puffer Jacket gives you that leeway to play the blue hyperdrivers, which is, again, a very big deal because it takes a 6 and 60 to a 9 and 60, right? And then also just gives you more fuel for Nitro, for now Bankbreaker, for Hyper X3 if you want to run Hyper X3, right? Or just having a better resource curve for the more powerful cards that Max does want to take, right? So Puffer Jacket is going to be the standout. I'm hoping that there's enough going on with the other cards that it obviously doesn't just absorb the whole price of the armory deck, right? Like Savage Sash, I think the Azalea ones are pretty well spread, right? Same with Bolton. Bolton's cheap as well, anyway, still, right? But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm getting 2 copies of the Gravy deck, right? I always get 2 copies of the Armory decks, so that I can get one to stash away one day, maybe put them in a display case or something. But yeah, so I've always grabbed 2 copies of all the Armory decks. Won't go excessive onto it, right? I'd rather buy more boxes of high seas than just bank on or try to speculate on, again, Gravy Bones bottlenecking. But I would highly expect that it is going to act as the way to just print a whole bunch of equipment for Gravy Bones, and rather than having, the choice, you will have the legendary of the set. Maybe they go to 2 legendaries and high seas for Gravy Bones, but most likely at least 1, 4 Majestics from the Armory deck, and then some drips and drabs, right? Definitely draft fodder. So, yeah. Again, a little worried about the Gravy Bones Armory deck. Okay. Breaker Helm Proto. So, this being an Evo. So I'm getting 2 Gravy Bones. I am getting 5 cases from elsewhere, and then 2 cases from local LGS. That's my current shopping spree, right? Maybe get a little bit more high seas as well. Wait and see. I'll think about it. But I think 5 is what I usually get, because you usually find your playsets in 5. But, well, you get close to the majority of playsets. Has, again, been getting a little away from the printing. Majestics are, again, a little bit of a problem for people to pull and collect, especially from just boxes. But, right, I don't know if I want to go too excessive. We do like brutes, and we do expect savage lands, right, Sam? Alright. So, when this event, you may discard a Hyperdriver if you do draw a card, and this gets +1 to the end of turn. The question is, do you care, A, about equipping a Evo Helm, and 2, about discarding a Hyperdriver rather than trying to play it? I think the Helm is a non-starter. I think Hyper X3 is still probably going to be a little bit better, right? Even if it does consume your Hyperdrivers and lock them away, it's still really good tempo over the Breaker, right? Well, I suppose in a pinch, the discard to get the tempo 2 and redraw a card is kind of nice. Well, we'll think about that one. Skippy, you're getting 2 gravy, but I really hate the name. Yeah, I'm not super amused by the puns either. Single-wise, yeah, I always have overflow. I mean, yeah. I've started sorting, so like this is my little table of just Majestics. Ooh, which way am I going? That way. Alright, by class. So expect IC to fill that up as well. I definitely think we're going Savage Lands, definitely Brute, but I'm very curious about what other classes they throw in there. Puffer Jacket, again, non-token Hyperdrivers, get an extra scene counter, absolutely insane, and then Temper 2 on top of that. I'm pretty sure even if it didn't have Temper 2, right, even if it was Blade Break, something you could use at the end, it would still be just something you really, really take, because you want Hyperdrivers to stick around, and again, going from 6 and 60 to 9 and 60 is just huge. Fist Pump, whenever you banish a Hyperdriver from boosting, your wrench gets +1 for the turn, which is definitely really nice. Again, if you can line them up, it's why my mentality goes to maybe stick with Breaker and then go into Evo Recall, right? Was it from Rosetta? I don't think I have extra copies of that. I think they're tucked away in my sorted box. God, I'm on the internet. I can literally look up cards as we're talking about them, right? Let's see. So Recall is the one from Misfail, right? And it's when you equip this, you put 1 Mechanologist action card from your banish zone on top of your deck, which is obviously really nice. You get Hyperdriver in there, you get to put it straight on top of your deck, you get to boost it straight away, and activate Fist Pump would be my mentality there. It's just whether or not, obviously, swapping to Arcane Barrier and 0 in all matchups is great. It's probably not, right? But again, to line up the 1 extra damage, say you have a Clamp Press on board, that really helps stack up, right? Drive Break, so our Valiant Dynamos for Mech. whenever you banish a hyperdriver from boosting, remove a -1 counter from this. So I wish it was a bit more open-ended, both of them, right? It's just banish a hyperdriver. So it had a bit of screw you to assassin vibe to it, right? I think that would be really cool, but oh well. So yeah, still, potentially, 10 block is nice, right? Not as consistent as Warrior whatsoever, because again, finding them is going to be the difficulty, but still, it's definitely worth considering, especially in Max, right? Having a bit of extra block. I, again, still kind of like the Evo legs, right? To find something that synergizes a bit differently. So you don't need the Quicken from Map Breaker. What would you want? What's Speed Slip? Speed Slip, next attack action card gains boost. I think I still just go back to Evo Thrusters. I'm pretty sure I had an image that had the comparisons I wanted to make for the legs. Let's see. This one? I did the heads. I don't think I did the legs, actually. Yeah, so I did the heads. Evo Command Center, allowing you to swing and draw, or pressure, swing and drawing, is nice. Evo Recall, again, being able to put Hyperdrive straight into your deck to boost is a little bit of nice synergy. And then Circuit Breaker, I think I just threw in there because that was the image-wise, it seems like Breaker Helm becomes Evo Circuit Breaker, right? They are very, very similar in stylization. What have I missed? Oh, I get a new Evo Helm in the Armory deck since... Well, actually, yeah, that's a really good thought. I did not think of that. Problem is, right, we've hit the cap of what we normally see. Our 4 equipment pieces, Wrench in this case, we have our 2 Majestics, right? Maybe a reprint. And then we get our Twin Tech charging station as a rare. And it seems like a formula that we'll, try to maintain across the board. So maybe we see one of the actual Evos. I mean, I can see them just sticking Circuit Breaker in there. Although Circuit Breaker to me is a weird choice. Yeah, it being red, it's not horrible. It would be nice to have full 9 copies of Hyperdrivers. I mean, we can work out a ton of the cards. We know Heist is in there. Well, that's the other thing, actually. We know Heist is probably in there at 2 copies. So that's, again, makes me think that they're not going to flood it with Majestics or other Majestics. Although if they want to keep the price down on the other cards, maybe they do, because Heist is actually apparently a pretty expensive card now, right? It's like a 40 US card. Let's see if I got that right. No, Rainbow Foil is 40. The normal is still 28. That's still quite an expensive Majestic. So, yeah. We'll have to see, but it does seem like it doesn't have enough wiggle room for them to chock it full of goodies. I can definitely see them just suggesting the cards. Wonder if we get a new did that. 2 to 4 per game, right? Yeah, in terms of consistency with Drive Break. I hope, personally, I would hope that there's another card that allows you to, again, flood them back in your deck that is mech, because obviously you can take Remembrance, you can take Strategic Planning, but the majority of mech ones target attack actions, not items, unfortunately, right? Legs are amazing since banishing Hyperdrivers will benefit both Drive Break and Hyper X3. Yeah, so you get the, but, see, this is why it's a weird thing. No, I take that back. I was thinking about the timing of Drive Break. No, yeah, the legs are just straight amazing. So yeah, it's a boost, banish, and then it goes to the helm, set up. So eventually you get the draw cards and the minus, right? So I do think Hyper X3 still outstakes any other Evo headpiece that you could throw out. You can also block with the Protoss Instant Recall to draw the card. Yes, yeah. So if you really wanted something else, right? Because it is just any Mechanologist action, right? That's why I really like Recall, because it does just seem super strong. That would be really good. Yeah, defend, discard a Hyperdriver, get something super significant for your following turn, right? I mean, heck, get Nitro if you want. Just leave Nitro in the bash zone instead of getting it back through Supercell, and then just set it up straight away to go into your big mech payoff. I think just Achilles for the boots would be best. It does seem like you want the action points, right? So Heist generates your action points. What was the other one? The Hyperdriver. Ball, press. So yeah, without high octane, getting the wrenches to easily swing twice, especially once you run out of fuel. Because that's the other thing. I really want Bankbreaker to start on board because Construct is already a hefty condition, right? So you find Construct, you only get essentially 3 charges. Well, no, and the wrench. So you get 4 charges to swing with. So 4 turns to find the other Construct. So it being 3 and 60 does not work out having it constantly up, unfortunately. And then, again, you have that startup leg where you have to set up the hyperdrivers to be able to use Construct Bankbreaker. So I think Bankbreaker and cards that actually, there we go, gas up. Not ball. Ball, bar, overpower. That's my guess. There's a lot of hyperdriver interaction. A lot of them aren't that fantastic, to be honest, right? But yeah, so for Bankbreaker, the Steam counter from Banksy is okay, but it's just so lackluster, right? Especially because, you know, if you've already cranked, refueling Steam count, I guess, is kind of nice. So I'd much rather have Bankbreaker starting, right? I guess the only downside with HyperX3 is you can't recount them with things. Yeah, so locking them away is also the big hassle. And Hyperdriver. Obviously, you can't get the tokens under it. So you want hyperdrivers for your wrench, you want hyperdrivers for X-ray, you want hyperdrivers probably for Moonshot and Hyperscrapper, because again, if you're trying to just recycle them and reuse them for other things, you want that as sort of the engine. So Hyper X3 does seem kind of a bit costly because the other thing is it's not a May, right? So Hyper X3 is whenever you banish a hyperdriver from boosting, put it under this, right? You don't get the choice, and that choice could really, really kill you in terms of setting up the other things of the deck, right? Because then you just run out of the hyperdrivers, unfortunately. So yeah, that's a little worrisome. It almost seems like we need like a hyperdriver mini card similar to Chivalry for Brethren, where it does significantly less, maybe doesn't even have the boost gain of resource. It's just something you can throw out and you can stick as many as you want in the deck, right? Hyper X3 is battle worn, unfortunately. Yeah, if it was Blade Break, it would be significantly better, but you have to get your opponent to destroy it, and your opponent has to be playing basically what can Ninja can, Mech can, Guardian can, Ranger can, right? I think we only have destruction between 4 classes, so not fantastic, right? Bankbreaker is the backside of Construct. Yes, it is definitely the backside of Construct, but again, my cope on Bankbreaker doesn't have item, right? So Singularity turns into a demi-hero. Ruling for demi-hero, obviously can't start with it. Nitro has item, can't start with it. All the Fabricates are a bit close to Bankbreaker and have variants that you can start with. There was one other Levia demi-hero. There's one other that I'm missing, I think. There was also an item as well. And then all the Evos are item equipment, right? Or Evo equipment. Either way, they have the typing ruling to not be able to start with Bankbreaker, whereas Bankbreaker has nothing to indicate that this is the only way to get it, right? So I get that it's the backside, so it's not the active side per the ruling, but I feel like for clarity's sake, LSS would have stuck something on there to make it a bit more coherent. Obviously, if it had item interaction, stealing it, destroying it, that would be a problem. If it had equipment, destroying it would be a problem. So again, that's why my mind went to, if this was just solely something you can create, token seems like the correct typing that they would stick on, again, for clarity's sake. But I can completely understand them just relying on the active/non-active side of a flip card as the main ruling. But yeah, fingers crossed, because I also want to wrench people with Data Doll. So yeah, hopefully either we get a different wrench to Banksy, right? Because the wrench in Bankbreaker/Construct Bankbreaker does not look like Banksy whatsoever, right? So there's that could be kind of cool. Or down the line we get another wrench, that would be really nice. Yeah, but they won't. Yeah. Got 9 hyperdrivers under my Hyper X3. Please just take my helm, give me my frostbite so I can stick them on board. Equipment for Iron Man making it banishable, but by already dead, and Evo style actions making them limited for overpower blocks. Poor Klloo. Alright, what card we're up to? Bankbreaker itself. So twice per turn, pay 1 attack, activate this only if you crank this turn. Absolutely fine, right? Especially again if we're trying to just, pay 2 to max and crank, right? Definitely seems easily achievable. When this attacks, you may bash a card from under it. If you do, it gets overpower and go again. So yeah, 8 turns. No, I said that completely wrong. Yeah, 4 turns of double swinging, right? So bash card, first swing has 3 overpower, go again. Second one has no. So 2 for 6 with overpower, go again. That's also spread out. Is also kind of nice, especially again if you get +1 off the arms, that makes it insane. If you get clamp press, then it's also just really good breakpoint wise to really demoralize your opponent, right, and get some chip damage across, right? Construct Bankbreaker itself being something you have to find. I hope that one day, or again in the Armory deck, if it is chock full of new cards, that we get cards to find Construct, right? So finding Singularity would be fantastic, finding Nitro would be fantastic, and obviously finding Bankbreaker would be fantastic, just something to amp it up to, 6 and 60, right? But a 3 and 60, that is kind of my worry, right? That you won't find one, or you'll find it too early, and you definitely don't want to just sit on it and hope that you get to 3 hyperdrivers, because that's already going to be somewhat of a feat, right? So I wish it was either up to 3, right? Or that we do get some sort of fire to construct in your deck would be really good. You can play Construct Bankbreaker on top of Bankbreaker. Yeah. So you can continue to fuel it and stockpile resources to then also stick it under Nitro and get a whole bunch more cards that way as well, which is definitely a lot nicer than, say, trying to run a whole bunch of Evos to stockpile Nitro. So Nitro is definitely a lot more workable as well, considering you'll have a lot more fuel to do it. You just don't have high octane anymore for the action points to wombo combo people, right? So you have to get them through some other means. Clamp Press has Crank, enters with 2 steam counters, and the usual upkeep cost. So yeah, you crank it, lasts for 1 more turn. You don't crank it, lasts for 2 turns. Probably crank it, right? And then Wrenches you control get +2. Nice thing about it is Scrap is also seeming a little bit better for Max. So you can scrap cards like Clamp Press or Hyperdrivers to then heist or use something else to put it back into play, right? And that would definitely be a lot better, because you don't have to crank it off, say heist, because you already get the boost for go again, so you don't necessarily need the action point, and then you can make it stick around for 2 turns. So yeah, a +2 to your wrenches, good, right? And then Twin Tech Charging Station as our rare. Not as good as Skazak, unfortunately, right? Next attack, you boost this turn, gets +3, and then you may shuffle a Hyperdriver from your graveyard into your deck if you do gain a resource. So it's still nice to gain the resource of the card, right? A +3 that generates a resource to allow you to play a 5, a 4, or something else. Definitely is still good, right? 2 block. If only it wasn't 2 block. If it wasn't 2 block, I think it'd be definitely a card that stays around. But I think there's just better ways to utilize them from the graveyard than to Twin Tech. I mean, Hyper Scrapper is banish X items from your graveyard, and then it gets X where... No, it just gets X where X is X, but you get the 6 resources if you get rid of 3 Hyperdrivers, right? So Hyper Scrapper is a 3 cost, get rid of 3 Hyperdrivers, gain 6 resources, then just go absolutely ham. I still think that Hyper Scrapper and Moonshot were worded a little bit poorly, right? Because it definitely seems like you want to Hyper Scrap into Moonshot, but you obviously have to Moonshot into Hyper Scrapper. Still, they should definitely be a lot more workable across the board thanks to these cards. So yeah, overall, again, the Max Armory deck looks really good. Again, it's to the level of Aurora, which means that this is probably the level of design that we get for Armory decks across the board going forward. The problem that remains is, again, a new hero like Gravy Bone. So if this is the other medium for just a whole bunch of cards for Gravy Bones, that's a problem. Actually, I have the perfect image to discuss the finer points of this. Really have organized them. I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. Right. Stick that there. Make it smaller. For that. And I suppose we can go to Gravy Bone. No, that looks horrible. Too dark. High Seas intro should be fine. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so Gravy Bones again, as per the set of High Seas, is still stock standard. A little bit disappointed. I was expecting more card support, right? But we might get just... Well, no. So Gravy Bones represents the Necromancer cards. We'll probably get pirate cards. I doubt we get pirate necro and pirate ranger to a huge extent, right? But most likely it is still evenly spread amongst Huffin and Maryland. Whereas I feel like Gravy should definitely come with more support. But yeah, so again, 39 cards per the set. So that's stock standard. Again, the deck can attribute an extra 60 cards to that. A 99 card pool is still a drop in the bucket compared to other classes at this point. And we had that upstart issue of Assassin as well that Outsiders didn't really fix either, mainly because Contract was a little bit awkward, right? Because the value of banishing your opponent's deck wasn't as huge as it probably is now, right? As a way to counter fatigue. But then for the actual set, so the 100 gave us 25 Draconic, and then 13 to 14 dual class cards. So, we'll get maybe 25 Pirate, and at least 14 Necro. It depends what the joining class is. So, we don't get a trio, right? We don't go Necro Ranger, Ranger Mech, Mech Necro. We get one being the sharing class, if you will. I don't know if Necro feels like the sharing class, if it can pair well with both Mech and Ranger. It almost feels to me that Ranger would be the pairing class, and you'll get some gadgety stuff, right, or buff cards that go well with both Mech and Ranger, and then you have Ranger and Gravy Bones probably just being the draw discard mechanic, because that works with Maryland's ability, and obviously it works well with Gravy Bones wanting to get your Watery Grave into the graveyard. So I do feel like Ranger will be the joining class, and that means less cards for Necro. So yeah, altogether, if we get, say, 138 cards, a large portion of that is still going to be there solely for drafting, not in a true sense of playing. So the card pool either means that we won't get all the flexibility in the playstyle, the cards might be bottlenecked and therefore priced similar to the Assassin cards, which is a deterrent for trying them out and getting new people into Necromancer, if you will, right? And then we also have the issue with the Armory deck being a bottleneck as well, if there's no crossover of the cards, if they are just a sole way to bump the card pool of Necromancer, unfortunately. And then if there is just a set amount of cards, a finite amount that are actually good, it means that every Gravy Bones will probably be, a kind of carbon copy of one another, right? Which will also kind of be off-putting. It's sort of why I don't like playing Illusionist, because generally speaking, Illusionist is very non-flexible in the playstyle that you want to play. Despite having a lot of cool alternative cards, they just don't really fit into what you want to do, right? You want Figments as Prism, New Prism, you want Dragons as Dromai, you want other stuff. You want the normal Herald stuff, right? As Old Prism, Luminaris. Well, you still just want Spectral Shields, right? Just pure Pirate cards for everyone to share would be fine as well. That would bump the card pool, right? We are getting slightly extra cards, but we're also getting slightly extra Marvels. No dual class cards. Yeah, so if it was just Mech, Ranger, Necro, Pirate, Ranger, Pirate, Mech, Pirate, Necro, and then Pirate cards, that would be really nice. It would also give credence to the idea that we will just get a Pirate Hero. Most likely, the Pirate Hero will be young and just be in the treasure pack, similar to Enigma New Moon, right? That's probably where I go with that, because there are the 4 legendary slots in the treasure pack, and I'd assume that, again, similar to New Moon or Emperor, a Pirate Hero will have a Rainbow Foil legendary, and then a Marvel variant as well, right, in the treasure pack. I'm confident the following set will have more Necro sports, similar when Assassin Dynasty into Outsiders, maybe Monarch 3. Following set, yeah. So that does make sense, and I wouldn't mind seeing a take on Shaman that is basically Brute. Well, not Brute, it would be Savage Lands, Necromancer, which would probably just be straight Necromancer. It's still, in that sense, a bit disconcerting, because again, it all depends on how they decide to split up the cards. If it is Pirate separate to Necromancer, then we do have a decent chunk of cards for a straight Necromancer, or a different type Necromancer, talent or class, either way. But it's a curiosity till we find out more, right? Either way, it's still going to take a good chunk of cards to get them up to speed, right? So we're saying 138, that could be pushed to, maybe 160, 150. That puts it on par with Wizard, but Wizard, again, is it's not that it's a gimmicky class. It's that it's a more straight shooting class, for lack of better words, right? So playstyle of Wizard doesn't need much variation, doesn't need much toolkits, because your opponent has to take the toolkits around arcane damage. That's the whole, gimmick, right? If we had to chop it up. Whereas Necro does seem to have other stuff going for it. We know that so far the minions are Pirate Necromancer, right? I will double check in case I am completely wrong, but we have Charm, and Charm himself is a Pirate Necromancer card. So I would doubt the allies would cross over if we do get another Necromancer and another hero, just to, again, create variety within the pool. I would expect it in Monarch 3, but I don't think Monarch 3. I mean, we've already been told, right, that Monarch is not this year; it's next year. So I'd assume that's the first set of next year, and a Shadow Necromancer definitely makes a lot of sense. I could easily see Necro getting their combined cards more focused on generating gold with the main Necro bulk, the Watery Grave and such. It seems like Watery Grave is the ally mechanic. I would like to see other cards, just to give you incentive to try and discard on your opponent's turn, defense reactions or instants, right, to throw out there. But yes, the way everything's lined up, they do have to just flood the pool, right? Again, so they can account for both draft. Because, okay, if they don't give Necro the same level of draft fodder as normal, then they can't give the other class the same level of draft fodder. Otherwise, Necromancer just runs rampant in Limited, right? I can also see Pure Pirate as well. Pirate as a class makes sense, just farming gold. Yeah. I would, at the bare minimum, with them stating that Pirate is a separate class to Necromancer and not a talent, that we get at least a Blitz / Young Pirate, right, to toy around with and see. Whether or not they make it a full-fledged class, who knows, but at the very least, right, that would make the most sense. And Savage Lands with Necro makes sense, and Brute is due for more support or a better redesign. Yeah, again, back when Heavy Hitters came out, right, just reprinting Reiner, felt sad because, again, I think I did the numbers back then too. The amount of pilot heroes, if you will, for each class, they seem to want to get to around 2 to 3, and Bruce having just 2 with Heavy Hitters instead of having the opportunity to get the third one, right? Or Levia being talented. So yeah, it definitely seems like Savage Lands, Brute, Necro, weirdly Wizard, again per the card pool, but we did have Wizard, end of last year. It's not Wizard, it's kind of weird thinking who would mesh well. I mean, we're getting the Guardian Mastery pack, so although, a big tanky Guardian in Savage Lands kind of makes a curiosity, right? What's the 2? Cleric and Alchemist, for me, don't super fit well with Savage Lands. Cleric obviously fits with Monarch. We get, Cleric and Necromancer in Monarch 3, and then probably Light Warrior, right? Bolton's due for a replacement, or at least a better design. And Shadow Brute, no. Shadow Runeblade, yeah. Lyset, also kind of due for a better design, right? Okay. Think that's right? Anything I've missed? I'm trying to think. Any finer points that I wanted to discuss? I mean, we can bring up the good old trusty class table. So, yeah. I mean, we can chalk High Seas into that, but Brute. So we know Ranger's going to 4, and we know just Ranger's going to 4. Ranger and Mech. Mech is overpopulated as well, but also has not great heroes, right? Mech should at least be a little bit more viable, right? I would expect him to jump up to at least playable. Brute Necro Ranger. Double Ranger is interesting. It's tough whether or not LSS just wants, pilots for each class in general, or they want compatible, competable pirates for each class. Not pirates, pilots, right? But going off of this, it's completely random. At least I don't see a pattern between when we get what. It's just more the number basis, and then the sets that break them apart. So yeah, Mech brings the heroes to 5 and the sets to 3, right? Which is comparable. Mech was, in that sense, the lowest by set, and then Ranger and Brute are tied as the lowest by pilots. But card pool wise, Wizard is the lowest, right? If we're going off of what they're just trying to support. I'll be curious overall. I think that's that, though. Right? I don't think I've missed anything else newsworthy. Or anything juicy about high seas. I want to find out what the symbol is. There's so much to speculate on if the symbol is flip and not just once per turn. Alright. Actually, I do have stuff. Yeah, let's do this. This looks good. Alright. Marvels. Marvels of high seas. This is my working theory. So we know we're getting adult, young. I don't think the young variants will be in the treasure packs, although I would like to see them in the treasure packs as a way to funnel out the less expensive marbles. I would expect treasure things to be in the treasure packs, right? So we know young and old for the 6, so that's 6 for the 3, so that's 6. We have Chum. He is clearly the person to the left of Young Gravy, right? Hat matches, saber matches. I think even the close match, right? Correct. They're small on my screen, bigger on yours. So I would assume we get the 3 others pictured as well. The bottle carrying lady, and then I can't tell if that's a wooden board on his shoulder or he's holding up like a makeshift shield. But I would expect them as allies. And then 6 allies in total feels like workable. So if they're all non-legendary, we get 3 variants of each. So that's 18 in your deck. That seems like a decent amount, right? I could say it pushed to 8. I would expect an ally for Mech and Ranger, because that could also be a way to do something with Pirate that isn't just gold. At least that would be my hope, right? That's not... Gold makes sense, but gold is also very, very awkward, as we've seen with Victor. It can, if incorrectly tuned, it can be really, really high rolling. So I'd expect Ranger Ally, Ranger Harpoon, just as a marvel, some sort of Ranger Harpoon. We know it's not out of the question because we have Goldfin as a marvel. And then for Mech, I would expect a little Puffin Jr. as an ally. Something to fetch cogs would be cool, right? Fetch a cog out of your graveyard, fetch a cog out of your banch zone. That'd be interesting design. A Mech cog, so we know we have the token one. I'd expect a better one. I expect a whole set of cogs, if you will. And then landmarks for all 3, I think would be really, really nice to see, right? And again, one side could be a boat. The boat takes you to the island, flips it over, and then you're at their hideout, their base, whatever you want to call it, right, for the 3. And then Riptide as our obligatory reprint. Not reprint, what would you call it? Basically, it seems like without the history packs, we are getting Marvel variants of the heroes to make up for that. So, yeah, Riptide fits, to me, the most with the pirate mechanic. Actually, a weird thought that also came to mind. Trench. Trench feels really awkward, right? Because it's a pirate-themed card, but it doesn't make sense with Marilyn whatsoever. Right? I suppose you could still just Arsenal end your turn, do it first. But no, it still seems kind of awkward to trench with Marilyn. And then for the treasure packs, well, actually the treasure packs, we have even less choice. Oh, yes. I do have the Marvel. Not Marvel, Fable. Where's the Fable? Here we are. Meant for a video later. Alright, High Seas Fable. Curse Coin. So Pirate Yellow. Either when this is pitched, if you control no gold tokens, create a gold token, or if this was pitched to pay for gold, create a gold token. That would be my my Pirate Fable Yellow, right? I don't think it'd be a Necro Fable, because then we're sort of going into the territory of this might be really, really playable, and therefore really, really expensive. I think the Fables are like the one rarity card that they've done mostly great, where it is a really cool thing to find and have, but it's not mandatory, and it obviously doesn't exude a super extreme price, with obviously the exception of the one reprint that, again, make accessible, should never be legendary or Fable. Where are we? There we are, right? So, yeah, Dynasty Command & Conquer. Or it should have at least came in Rainbow Foil. That would have been fine too. So I'm expecting a Pirate Fable, right? It to be good, but not great. Although this, to be honest, seems kind of great, right? Just converting gold back to gold. I think if it's the top one, right, when this is pitched, if you control no gold tokens, create a gold token, would be a lot more sensible. Because it does seem like all 3 heroes will have kind of easy access to gold. If it was generic fabled, I'd love other classes like Victor. Yeah, that's the only issue though. They kind of learned their lesson from Eye and Heart, right? That it is potentially too good to do something like this and not limit it. I mean, imagine Schism, because I do have what the Schism effect is also really, really nice. But I don't remember off by heart. I just remember it being really, really nice. Should be here somewhere. Hearts, Guardian, Will, blah blah blah, Plague Hive. Maybe I haven't put in a case yet. Ah, there we go. So Schism, when it's pitched, each hero shuffles and puts the top card of their deck face down to the arsenal. Yeah, so the fact that, imagine starting your turn using Schism as any class. I think that would be really good because it's a blue pitchable, right? That's, yeah, because most likely your opponent obviously has an arsenal card. Because I don't think most people, overextend like I do and dump your arsenal card just because it's 3 to 4 extra damage, right? It's more just stockpile it. So yeah, imagine if Schism was a generic, how nuts that would be, how much everyone would want it. So I do see them just continuing to limit fables, right? I think they also learned their lesson with the Command and Conquer, right? And they've tried it out in Legendary, and only because this would have been designed earlier would I assume that we're getting either a Codex of Frailty or Inline Strike Legendary reprint. Otherwise, going forward, I would expect them not to chase the price, right? And basically do the right thing and make it a more accessible variant. But yeah, that's my it's more I would want this, right? Cursed Coin. But yeah, my theory on the Fable. I can see it being Necromancer just for the support. Other than that, I guess we might as well go through them all since we're doing them. Treasure Pack Marvels. Need like a hotkey. It is a hotkey. Control F. I can remember Control F. The Treasure Pack Marvels. We know there's 11. So far, Goldfin Harpoon. Again, I'm kind of bamboozled because the gold token, right? It has a flip side on the Fab database. The Golden Cog has a flip side on the database. Goldfin Harpoon does not have a flip side on the database, so they seem like the more Marvel-y cards than Goldfin Harpoon. I'm going solely off of the fact that it has the Marvel Triangle. But I would expect, again, LSS likes to try and keep things even, so a mech, a Marvel, a Necro Marvel, and then basically a whole string of Pirate, right? So Pirate Landmarks, and then a young Pirate hero and a young Merchant hero to sort of retool. And my mind more so went, Merchant would be like the gold hero. So they basically, up. Captain is copper, and then Genus is silver, from memory. So yeah, some Merchant that just revolves around gold would be cool. And then Pirate hero, something to do with allies, something to do with landmarks is sort of where my mind goes a little bit more. Other than that, I have completely no idea where to go when it comes to the Marvels, because we have one, and that's not really a great indication. And even then, if it didn't have the triangle, I would assume that it's not the Marvel because it doesn't have a flip side on the database, right? They gave a normal cold foil flip side instead, which is just interesting to me. So I suppose mechanically Goldfin Harpoon does a lot more than the Golden Cog, so playing it just as the full art side does kind of make more sense. And then we have, this one will do. So the way the set breaks down, I do actually like the idea of pirates being its sole thing more, especially with that class indication. So I might retool this, but otherwise my mind went to, if Necromancer had to be the joining class, items allies, and draw and discard as the crossover, but I can flip it, see Marilyn as the joining class, having a bit more to do with Puffin. I don't think Puffin really does get a whole bunch of allies. Golden Cog and Gold will be in the treasure pack. Yes, that is not an assumption. That is a known, because get rid of that one. Yeah, because of the TP right here. Right, so treasure pack and TP. But again, we're going off of the circle being not a Marvel, and then the triangle being the usual Marvel symbol. But again, no flip side. whereas the gold does have a flip side. Yeah, the Fab database is definitely getting up to speed. It's still missing a few things over Fabry, but eventually it'd be really, really good to have. I still don't completely trust it, though, in terms of the flip sides and non-flip sides, but I'd assume it's all absolutely correct. Analysis wouldn't bamboozle us for no reason, right? But yeah, so then Pirates being landmark, treasure, and gold. No, I like, yeah, Pirate would be a great way to support Gravy Bones in general. And bump up the card pool, because at least then he has the crossover. So I'm going to steal that. Thank you for pointing that out. We go Pirate as the soul class, and I'll probably swap it back then, because it does feel corrected to me that if there was still crossover cards, that Marilyn would be with Puffin rather than Gravy Bones. I think that just brings us to the legendaries. Alright, so we know there's 6 legendaries in High Seas, and then 4. Going with the treasure pack, again, Enigma, Emperor, their normal variants, right? The Rainbow 4 variant is a legendary, and then the Marvel variant is a Marvel. So in the treasure pack, I'd expect to have young heroes as Marvels and young heroes as the legendaries. The other 2 legendaries are a big curiosity because I cannot see LSS putting in staple legendaries, right? Putting in a Necro legendary to bump up the pool that has to be found in a treasure pack. So I'd assume it to be more gimmicky in the sense of, say, merchant, right? Merchant equipment, and then, you know, more landmarks. Landmarks are basically my go-to when I can't really think of something, right? And then for the actual High Seas legendaries, mechs and legs. Legs seems like the most open slot from a design point, right? For them to flesh out something, maybe a little bit different, maybe something to utilize the cogs with. Necro arms, right? I feel like Tunic does its job. There's plenty of headpieces for you to choose from. Legs could be the other curiosity. But, you know, he seems to be blue, yellow, so quick dodge flexes could just slot in there nice and easy, and they could just go, he has enough of a generic toolkit that we have to shore up those other slots, like, i.e. arms. Ranger chest, again, it's weird, but, what's it called? I said it before, but now it's sunken something, right? Sunken, it's not sunken vest. Either way, I'm sure you all know the vest that I'm thinking of, right? Does not work with Marilyn, or at least it's a bit awkward with Marilyn, so I can't see it being it. It's like similar to Azalea, but worse, because again, you're loading an arrows face up, whereas Azalea, at least you can gain the resource, put something else, and still use Azalea. So yeah, I'd expect a chess piece that works a bit more better across the board. Both of them, right? Again, to outcompete Tunic. Pirate as a headpiece, I feel like it's literally just going to be, you know, a normal pirate cap, right? Something to do with gold. And then generic arms. Arms seems like the slot as well. I'd like to see a third piece of Arcanite be printed. There we go. Trench of Sunken Treasure. I don't know why that just eluded me. So, yeah. Arms, and what I would like the effect to be, is whenever you take arcane damage, deal X amount back, right? If it's half the amount or something like that. So you can let a little bit through, but then also it bumps up the other pieces, mainly Arcanite Fortress. So yeah, I think they can get away with one more Arcanite piece. Going to 4 and having the chest be 4, even with Guardwell, I think is a bit too excessive. I think 3 would be the sweet spot, right? And then yeah, in terms of the reprints, definitely either in Lion Strike or Codex. Either way, they make the most sense, right? Although, crazily, I could see them doing a Shelter from the Storm, but that would be absolute insanity to me. Right? They just knew straight off rip that Shelter would be what it is, right? And they lined up a legendary reprint, right? But I would expect, yeah, the reprint to be legendary. E-Strike makes the most sense. Yeah, a boat going into a storm cloud or something where, you know, someone's throwing it down or catching it even could be cool. Otherwise, yeah, pirate themed codex. I could see them doing all 3 in the Marvel slot, right, as variants. Because Frailty, definitely. Frailty is just obscenely playable. And the scary part is, obviously, unlike Shelter, it is for limited classes, right? It's just for Ranger and Assassin, yet it's still just so crazily playable. But weirdly enough, right, I get this art style as kind of a cool vibe for High Seas, right? If we get more, you know, sort of notebook entry, treasure map style designs. I wouldn't mind it whatsoever. Right? I think for some people the art of the codexes wasn't super fantastic because it is kind of vastly different. But yeah, it would be cool to see. Otherwise, art style wise, they've definitely hit it out of the ballpark, right? Great blend of bright poppy stuff, right, as well as the usual, gory thematics, thanks to Gravy Bones. But feel like that is now everything. I'm out of resources for us to look at and discuss, I believe. I think. I mean, I can bring up the Majestic table again, I suppose. Majestics, I want them to do something with the pull rates, right? They need better pull rates just to make it a little better. If we're pushing, price points and rarity to extended arts, to marvels, to all these other things, Majestics need to be more accessible across the board, right? Even if they just can, go, it's a generic. It needs to be printed a bit more than classed Majestics, right? Stuff like that. Because they have that for equipment, they have that for legendaries, like the legendary keyword rather than legendaries. So I would hope that would be on their agenda. But other than that, we'll crack one more bright lights that I have, and I think we're good, right? Doubt there's anything else I've missed for the week, hopefully. Oh, I don't know why it wasn't showing up. My phone went to sleep. Makes complete sense. There we go. I have to clear stuff out of the way. Need the Fable / Marvels. Even though Hero Majestics didn't affect M pools, changing heroes to tokens solely for having success. I feel like it did, actually, right? Because they still showed up in the expansion slot. Granted, I would expect them to obviously be short printed, but they're counted as part of the Majestic count. So I doubt that, statistically, they wouldn't be counted as the declared Majestic pull rates, right? Even part of the expansion slot, even, if it's a fraction, right? But yeah, it should most likely solely be there for access, because that is one of the big things that we've sort of complained about every time. They're just annoying. And they're more than welcome to do single-sided token adult heroes if they wanted. It very slight. Again, they're definitely short printed. Although, thinking about it, no, they might not be, because you get them probably about as common as you find any singular expansion slot card. Maybe a little bit less. But yeah, because when I was working on my big Excel table that I will talk about in a video at some point, I did go through the counts, and yeah, they were part of the counts. Weirdly, let's see, that should do the trick. Yeah, so this table, right? For the counts, obviously it counts equipment, and it counts everything. So for the expansion slot, for instance, which one is it? The percentage here, right? The total, I had to take out the adult heroes because they were part of the total Majestic count. Alright. We pulled our legendary. So I can't say we're hoping for much. Wouldn't mind a Marvel. Right? Marvels and Bright Lights are meant to be one a case, something, or at least close to that. I feel they are. I may be wrong too when it comes to the Majestics, but again, it's hard because obviously what they put on their site isn't going to be absolutely correct. It's going to be as close as possible, but we don't know the other factors that go into what they reveal to us. Well, there's Steamed, right? So there's one expansion slot. We'll count them. So in the first pack, right, we got how many expansion slots? We did get normal singularity, unfortunately. Sonata, Intoxicating. So we got 2 expansion slot cards, which is about correct, right? They're 10.5 from memory. So you should get roughly 2. Actually, they're less than that because you also have the Rainbow Foil. So yeah, should most likely get 2 expansion slot cards. I put it away, yeah. I'm not crazy. Alright. I mean, a double legendary, okay. Wish it was something better, but hey Joshua. Double singularity box case. Cool. If only it wasn't legendary. If it wasn't legendary, just to try and make it consistent, I would definitely take 3. Right, we can get a third. If we can get a marble, we believe. Nada. There's only 2 variants, right? There's no rainbow foil? No, just got the shitty we can't print on both sides for whatever reason, despite doing it in Dynasty treatment. Nada. Try not to peek through the back. I wouldn't mind another cog, because they seem like it might be decent, right, in Hyperdrive and Max, as well as maybe Puffin going forward. You getting much of High Seas? They roped me around. I said to myself, if it wasn't Bard or Merchant, I wouldn't be super excited for it. But then they started showing stuff, and I went, nope, looks cool. And trading packs, sign me up even more. Nada. Nope. It is gold. What is it? What's the card called? I'll find it in a second. But it is put a Steam counter on anything, correct? Not just something. Mastercog is. It may put. No, it has to be a item with crank, unfortunately. We still don't know the weapons. The pistol stuff would be interesting. But obviously, unless you max, hyperdrives don't have crank. I do. It's for whatever weird reason. My brain just goes to, how can I use wrenches in everyone but max? I think it's because it's the obvious play, and I like exploring and trying to find stuff. I play Ranger, told myself as soon as Necromancer came out, I was winning. Oh, you got 2 for 1 in a set then. Must be ecstatic. Ireland definitely looks really good as a Ranger, right? Definitely, I 100% assume they were expecting Death Dealer to have rotated out by the time High Seas came out. Nope. Yeah, running a little dry on Majestics. Golden Blade. Doesn't come to mind, so I feel like it's not playable. Turns a face down card in Arsenal face up. Defense reaction, destroy it. Next wave attack this turn gets +1. At least you get to see, I suppose. Here's blue, 3 block. There's our second expense slot, although a foil. Legendary and 3 from the first half of the box. No. Doesn't happen often. It's the only time I think for 4 years this set came out with 2 heroes. Let's see. Root, Welcome to Rathe, didn't care about the other 3. Ranger, Arcane Rising. Yeah. Yeah, even when Outsiders came out, I didn't want anything to do with Assassin. I think Hunted's the first set where I went. I at least want to try them all. Another cold foil. This is, I mean, weird. Well, it's not weird, but it is pretty. What are the chances? 2 singularities and 2 pieces of this, 2 Cold War pieces of the same Evo set. Although the nice thing is, this is the next weapon attack this turn gets when this hits draw a card, which I think would actually be pretty nice to run with the new Evo piece, right? That or recall. Yeah, spying singles is definitely the correcter choice. Then you miss out on the fun. There's going through pack after pack of not ends. I am not super hopeful. This box has many Majestics left. I need to get it for really cheap, so I can't be too annoyed. That was, God, 320, I think? Australian, by the way. 320 Australian. It was absolute insanity to me that I couldn't say no. I had to see what I could pull. Oh, Demolition Protocol. Nothing else. Lucky. And they bought single boxes, which was dumb, but I had no idea about the pulls. Just grabbed it because I like the art and everything. I got some nice cards out of it, but the only legendary I have from Welcome to Rathe is Scavsting. Well, 3 left. At least it wasn't out. How much is Singularity now? I can't expect it to be very much at all, especially the normal version. $25 card. That's not bad. In the grand scheme of, how much of my box does this get me? Circuit Breaker. No expansion slots. Lucky last 2. Yeah, the gold pack. At least with the Marvel Enigma, right? It died down. I assume it's died down very quickly. I haven't actually looked at the price of the pack. Just that, Rainbow Fall Enigma's down to 10. Under 10. Hyperscrapper Foil. But, yeah, with a 90 card set plus, at the very least, 43 extra treasure cards, let alone if the unique cards are actually unique, and that's 60, they're definitely going to be held and sold. There is no way that people don't just sell them. At least they have the ruling, right? Not for individual sale. So yeah, we hit about how many normal Majestics you're meant to get, and then a Klloo and an Emboldened Blade instead of 2 expansion slot cards. So I feel like the treasure pack won't die down quick, because we already know that it looks like the majority of cards will have really good treatment. Again, the gold token and the golden cog both having flip sides, right? Full art. So they're chase tokens already. They're definitely going to be desirable. And then we also have the price point increase. So even, I'm going to go on a ramble, yeah. Even though we have the price point increase for the Hunted, it didn't really happen, right? I not really any of the stores that I've seen did anything with it. They maintained it. Maybe events went up a little bit, but box prices are still under retail price, at least recommended retail price, at least here in Australia. But from what I've seen with the high seas is, while they're not at retail price, they have gone up by a decent chunk, right? So I could comfortably find boxes Australian, right, if I wanted for $4.80 a case, right? Whereas now it's very hard to find under $5.60, right? So that is an $80 jump, $20 a case, $10 US, give or take, right? Is substantial. That is essentially the price point that they increased by, right? Even though it's not actually reflected in the recommended retail price. So I think for a lot of people, the treasure packs will just be an easy way to get that back, right? I'm gonna sell my treasure packs as I open boxes. Yeah, with unique treasures are still in circulation. Yeah, and I'm super curious to see how many get pulled at Worlds. I would expect, one at least, right? Just to showcase it and throw it out there. Uh, yeah. Yeah, and I think they'll last. Because there'll be people chasing tokens. Then, you want more than one token. Especially for like Goldfin Harpoon where it's in your hand and you can't, represent it with dice or anything like that. Right? I know I like just to flash my Cold War Silver, right? Rather than just put a dice on it as well. So there's always that collector mentality, especially when it's the low level stuff, right? Because separately, all of it's going to be, somewhat cheap, right? Maybe 10 to 30 bucks for the majority, and then, the higher stuff are higher, obviously. But in summation, the gold packs, because of that, because you can find legendaries, because you can find marvels, will be crazy. Especially if they don't give us the list, because I would highly assume the set gets released, but the treasure packs remain treasure packs, at least for a while, right? That would be my expectation of how to run it best in terms of marketing and selling products. But I think that does us, right? Yeah, I think I'm good. Missing anything? All right. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks all for hanging out and discussing some stuff. See what news comes from next week. I'm expecting some sneaky stuff, right? Obviously, we got the max deck pretty early. I would assume that they just go with it anyway. I don't know why they didn't just at that point go with it, because the internet by now, Max is just completely circulated. They do a lot more, especially to hype up pre-orders. I feel like the showcase videos, while it's great at release, they just F over stores, because most people don't understand the distribution side of things, right? And they don't go, well, this is a one-off print run, so what I order is generally what I order, and therefore the store is ordering it ages before, the real hype bubbles for something. So I feel like they should show more than what they do show, especially early on, because it's definitely too late to like up orders of Max, right? Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Anyone watching the post, thanks as well.